Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Today we will have a debate between Team A as the pro team and Team B as the contra team. Next, let me introduce you to our timekeeper, Aisyah, and me, Satria, as your moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start our debate today, let me introduce you to each team. For the government team, they have Mayang, Rian, and Pramudita. In the opposition team, they have Jian, Marcellina, and Jessyka. Before we start, let me read the rules in our debate today. The rules are: for first, second, and third speaker have 7 minutes to deliver their speech. After 1 minute, and timekeeper will give the signal 1 now. It's mean time for the POI. And after 6 minutes, the timekeeper will give the signal 1 now. It's mean no more POI. For the reply speaker, you have 5 minutes for delivery your speech. And after 4 minutes, the timekeeper will give the signal 1 now. It means your time is 1 minute left. And everyone needs to remember that no more POI when reply speaker is speaking. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to show you about today's motion. Today we have this halt would eliminate egg restriction for marriage. Okay, let's start our debate. So each team has finished up their building and now they are ready to debate. So I will call the first speaker from the affirmative team to deliver their opinion. For the first speaker of the affirmative team, time is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable judge and esteemed opponents, I am privileged to stand here as the first affirmative speaker to advocate for the motion this House will eliminate exploitation for marriage. But before delivering my argument, let me introduce my team. Government team has 3 speakers. First speaker, myself, I will explain the key terms and define the motion. And the second speaker, Rian, will explain the argument for eliminating expectation for marriage and promoting individual autonomy and equality. And the third speaker, Nika, will provide the conclusion. Our timeline is clear support eliminating egg restriction for marriage, championing the rights of individuals to make choice about their own life without arbitrary legal contracts. Let me define the motion and offer our interpretation by eliminating egg restriction for marriage. We propose removing any legal barrier that prevent individuals below a certain age from getting married. This includes laws that set minimum age requirements for marriage. Now, let me outline the issue that will be central to our argumentation. Firstly, we will address the principle of individual autonomy and personal freedom. We believe every individual should have the right to choose when to be married when they marry regardless of age. Secondly, we will explore the impact of egg restriction on cultural diversity and sensitivity. Many cultures worldwide have different traditions and norms regarding marriage, and imposing egg restriction may conflict with this cultural practice. Thirdly, we will examine the inconsistency in legal standards regarding adulthood. Suppose individuals are deemed mature and responsible enough to make other significant life decisions, such as joining the military or voting. In that case, they should also be considered capable of entering marriage. Moving on to our argument, which I will be presenting today, the first is individual autonomy. In a society that values personal freedom and individual rights, it is paramount that individuals have the autonomy to make decisions about their own life, particularly in matters that intimate and covered as marriage. By removing age restriction, we affirm the agency of individuals to choose when and whom to marry, free from undue interference or materialistic constraints. Consider the case of adolescents who may find themselves deeply in love and commitment to a lifelong partnership, current equistration may arbitrarily deny them the ability to formalize their relationship through marriage despite their emotional maturity and genuine consent. By maintaining this restriction, we portray an outdated nation that the state knows best about matters of the heart. Furthermore, denying individuals the right to marry based on age alone undermines the fundamental principle of equality before the law. Why should an individual be deemed compensable? Served in the military or entered into contracts yet be barred from institution of marriage based solely on the age? Such inconsistencies erode the credibility of our legal system and perpetuate unjust discrimination. In advocating for eliminating equistration, we affirm every individual's inherent dignity and regardless of age. We trust in the capacity of individuals to make informed decisions about their own life and relationship. And we call upon this esteemed chamber to uphold the principles of autonomy and equality by supporting our affirmative stance. Second, cultural sensitivity. Our world is a mosaic of diverse cultures, each with custom, ritual, and belief surrounding marriage and family life. From arranged marriage in some Eastern cultures to romantic love match in Western societies, this institution of marriage reflects the value and norms cherished by different communities. By imposing uniform age restriction on marriage, we risk imposing a one-size-fits-all approach that fails to respect the cultural diversity of our society. Such restriction may clash with deeply held belief and tradition, causing unnecessary friction and resentment within communities. Furthermore, maintaining equistration can perpetuate harmful stereotypes and stigmatize relationships that deviate from the norm. Couples who defy intentional active may face social contempt and prejudice, leading to feelings of alienation and marginalization. In advocating for elimination for equistration, we affirm our commitment to fostering inclusive and tolerant society that celebrates cultural diversity and respects choice. By allowing communities to determine their own standard for marriage, we promote harmony and understanding among different ethnic, religious, and cultural groups. In conclusion, the elimination of equistration for marriage not only on a matter of individual right, but also a statement of our society commitment to pluralism and respect for cultural autonomy. We urge this awesome chamber to recognize the value of cultural diversity and to embrace a more inclusive vision of marriage that honor the myriad tradition and practice that enrich our humanity. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the first speaker of the affirmative team. Next, I call the first speaker of the opposition team to deliver their opinion. The time is yours.
Thank you for the time was given by the moderator. First, I will introduce myself. My name is Jian Ayuni K.W. and I'm the first speaker of the opposition team. I will explain about why this motion must be give limitation of age in marriage. And my second speaker is Marcellina. She will explain about the negative effect of the motion today. And my third speaker is Jessyka, will explain about the conclusion. I disagree with the first speaker of the government team because giving a limitation for marriage is important things. Why? Why we need to give a limitation of age in marriage? Because it will so funny if a 10 years old boy went to the religion affairs office to arrange his marriage with a 9 years old girl, right? That's why we need a limitation of age in marriage. Considering emotional and the mental maturity is the first reason. Legal age limits to always reflect a person's emotional and mental maturity. There are individuals who may be emotionally and mentally ready for marriage, even though they have not reached the legal age for marriage, but it will always give rise to the negative impact. Accommodating pregnancy outside wedlock is some cases. Aging of age restriction for marriage can help accommodate situation where teenage couple face pregnancy outside of wedlock. The opposite team said that marriage without age restriction can have to their freedom to what they want to choose, but it can give various negative impact. Like what? And for that, instead of removing the age limit for marriage, there are other solutions that can be implemented. The first is comprehensive sex education. Providing comprehensive sex education to teenagers can help them understand the consequence of early marriage as pregnancy. This education can also assist them in making better decisions regarding their reproductive health. And the second is economic empowerment. Increasing access to education and job opportunities can help prevent early marriage. By having more economic choices, individuals may choose to delay marriage and focus on their education or careers. Changing social and cultural norms is the third solution. Early marriage is often driven by social and cultural norms. Therefore, changing these norms and values can help prevent early marriage. This can involve community education about the negative impact of early marriage and the importance of education and economic opportunities for women and men too. Legal supportive and policies. While age limits for marriage are important, there is also a need for other laws and policies that support the right of individuals who marry at a young age. This can include access to reproductive health services and protection against exploitation and violence. 5 is supportive counseling and mentoring. Providing counseling and mentoring to teenagers and their parents can help them understand the consequences of early marriage and assist them in making better decisions. However, giving age limitation can give much better life marriage. Thank you.
Well, that's the first argument from the opposition team, and then I will call the second speaker from affirmative team. Time is yours.
Okay, I will give rebuttal from first speaker opposition. As the first speaker of opposition said about considering emotional and mental maturity, respecting individual rights, and accommodating pregnancy outside wedlock. I stand to frame again with the motion this House would eliminate age restriction for marriage and delve deeper into the major areas of agreement with the motion this House would eliminate age restriction for marriage, and my argument is about promoting individual autonomy and equality. For removing age restriction on marriage, advocates for the removal of age restriction on marriage argue that such limitation infringe upon individual autonomy and the right to make personal decisions about one's life. They conduct that maturity level vary among individuals, and some might be emotionally and mentally prepared for marriage at a younger age, while others might not be ready even in adulthood. Additionally, proponents argue that age restriction disproportionately disproportionately impact marginalized communities and perpetual culture disease. As different cultures have varying norms and traditions regarding marriage, removing restriction allow consenting others to exercise their freedom to marry without arbitrary legal barriers, fostering a more inclusive and respectful society that acknowledges diverse perspectives on relationship and personal choice. Promoting individual autonomy and equality. The removal of restriction on marriage promote individual autonomy and equality by recognizing that individuals shall have the right to make decisions about their personal life based on their own interests and consent. Such a approach acknowledges that maturity level vary among individuals and respect their ability to assess their readiness for marriage. Moreover, eliminating restriction help to address inequalities and discriminatory practice, particularly in cases where restriction disproportionality impact certain communities or perpetually cultural basis. By allowing consenting adults to marry freely, society can foster greater inclusivity and respect for diverse perspectives on relationship and personal choice. Ultimately, promoting individual autonomy and equality before the law. Thanks.
Well, time for the second speaker of the affirmative team. Next, I'll call the second speaker from the opposition team to give the rebuttal for the second argument of affirmative team. Time is yours.
Second speaker for government team said advocates for the removal of age restriction on marriage argue that such limitation infringes upon individual autonomy and the right that make personal decision about oneself. I don't agree with this argument because Indonesia is a country of law because that is everything regulated according to the applicable law. Where a marriage is carried out by a person, man and woman will be considered valid if they are married according to law with their respective religions and belief and must be recorded in that institution authorized according to applicable law. As we all know, marriage is not just based on likes and likes, but there must be an awareness that live in marriage will definitely face many problems and challenges in the life of husband and wife, especially if they are not supported by personality adults to manage household, life and offspring. Based on reason, this is one of the principal outlined in the marriage law. Marriage law confirms that prospective brides and grooms can to get married. You have to be physically and mentally mature to be able to carry out marriage in order to realize the goals of marriage well without ending in divorce and get healthy and quality offspring. Marriage at a young age can have a negative impact. If seen from that perspective education, then marriage at a young age will cause children to lose their right in life, obtain education to a higher level. In terms of age marriage, how young people can have an impact the high mortality rate of mothers who give birth. As well, this can lead to poor health of the mother and child are experiencing premature birth. There is a high possibility that it can cause congenital defect in the child. From a physical perspective, young couple cannot afford to be burdened with work that requires skill physically to earn income for his family. So that is possible will cause great prosperity in the household. From a mental perspective, young couple will often experience a mental down when faced with a responsibility because they are still mentally unstable or not can control his emotion well. In terms of population, young age marriage high level will be less supportive development in the welfare sector. In terms of continuity of the household, young marriages are very vulnerable to divorce because they still have unstable characteristics of emotion or self-image. Thank you.
Thanks for the second speaker of the opposition team. That's a good opinion. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, next I'll call the third speaker of affirmative team to deliver the conclusion. Time is yours.
Okay, friends. So, in the conclusion for debate, before marriage, please you prepare all yourself, prepare mentally, and don't forget prepare your emotional. So everything achieve well and good for thinking and as good to financial.
Well, that's the conclusion of the affirmative team. Next, I'll call the third speaker of the opposition team to deliver the conclusion. Time is yours.
Thank you for the moderator will give me the time. I will give my opinion from the motion. We as the opposition team strongly believe eliminate age restriction for marriage can impact negatively for children, especially when the children have free activity or promiscuity. From that, we believe reject this because it can lead to early marriage, and early marriage is cause of several things. Here, I want to tell you some argument why we should not marry at the young age. For the first, with young age, people have a lack of life experiences. Young people many require more time to completely comprehend who they are, their objective, and what they want. This may cause them to act hastily and marry someone who is not the best long-term fit for them. Imagine a youthful pair that decide to get married after dating for a year. They have only has option to live as a student. They have yet to have a chance to live and freely or traveling. They need to completely comprehend the difficulties and obligations accompanying marriage, which called facilitating marital issues. Secondly, is higher risk of divorce. Younger partners are more apt to divorce than those who are married for the more matrix. According to research, several things such as immaturity, a lack of life experience, and financial are constantly cause of this. According to the studies carried by the Office the Nationality Static, the UK Static, authority executive office, the divorce chance is greater for couples who marry in their early 20s than those who wait until their 30s. It can be challenging to manage their difficulties and of marriage life for several reasons, including a lack of growth and life experiences. And the last reason I want to tell you is when people have a limited social circle, young couples might have a small social network which could result at short age of resources, network, and assistance when they most need to establish themselves in their neighborhood from the strong bonds or have diverse social circles, making it it challenging for them to seek assistance when they do. A young couple who has just relocated to a new location may find it challenging to make acquaintance and establish a support system. If they experience difficulties in their union, they might request support and advice from someone. In conclusion, why I don't recommend it to young people to marry is because they have a lack of experience, they have risk of divorce, and it can make young people don't have a social circle. We believe there are solutions from this problem, such as give some knowledge from young people in their school by the teacher to inform marrying the young age has a negative impact from their life. So after that, they can realize that marry at young age is worse and can make this world less full of married at young age. Thank you.
Well, that's conclusion of the opposition team. Next, I'll call the reply speech of the opposition team to deliver the speech. Time is yours.
The opposite team pointed that they contend that maturity levels vary among individuals, and some may be emotionally and mentally prepared for marriage at a young age, while others might not be ready even in adulthood. That's what we can explain. In our team, giving limitation on age for marriage can prevent opportunities to violate religious ethics, such as free-sex behavior. By adding the age limits, we can prevent such things from happening. In anticipation, when concerned about level of mental readiness and maturity, teenagers can be educated about such things, like economic empowerment and comprehensive sex education, legal supports and policies, and supportive counseling and mentoring. Thank you.
Well, that's the speech of opposition team. Next, I'll call the reply speech of the affirmative team to deliver the speech. Time is yours.
Okay, I stand as the request speaker for the affirmative team, tasked with analyzing argument presented in this debate and highlighting the strength of our position. Firstly, I would like to express the appreciation for the target argument for by the opposition team. However, upon careful examination, it becomes evident that the case presented in opposition to the motion lacks the depth and hardware necessary to stand against our affirmative stance. Let me begin by addressing the key points raised by opposition regarding promoting, considering emotional and mental maturity, respecting individual rights, and accommodating pregnancy outside wedlock. Well, it's acknowledged that individual autonomy is a fundamental principle. The opposition argument fails to adequately address the nuanced implication of removing age restriction for marriage. The opposition contests the removal of age restriction. However, this argument overlooks the critical issue of safeguarding vulnerable individuals, particularly minors, from potential harm and exploitation of marital relationship. By advocating for the removal of age restriction without adequate consideration for the protection of minors, the opposition neglects the fundamental responsibility of the states to safeguard the rights and well-being of all its citizens. Furthermore, the opposition's assertion that age restriction perpetuate cultural bias fails to recognize the legitimate concerns surrounding early and forced marriage, particularly in contexts where patriarchal norms and power imbalance prevail. While cultural diversity is indeed value, cultural practice may be evaluated through the lens of human rights and gender equality. Removing age restriction without adequate safeguard may perpetuate harmful in practice and exacerbate existing societal inequalities. In contrast, our affirmative case has constantly emphasized the need to individual autonomy with societal responsibilities. Advocating for removing age restriction within a framework that prioritizes protecting vulnerable individuals and promoting gender equality. By acknowledging the complexities inherent in the debate surrounding age restriction or marriage, we have demonstrates a nuanced understanding of the issue at hand and propose solutions that uphold at the principle of justice and human rights. In conclusion, the affirmative team upholds the motion this House will eliminate age restriction for marriage based on promoting individual autonomy and equality within framework and priorities protecting vulnerable individual and advancing gender equality. Thank you.
Well, that's the speech from the affirmative team. Ladies and gentlemen, next I will give the time to the timekeeper to report how much time is needed in this debate.
Okay, thank you for the moderator. For the first speaker from the government team, spent 5 minutes, 56 seconds, and then for the second speaker from the government team, spent 3 minutes, 50 seconds, and then for the third speaker from the government team, spent 1 minute 20 seconds, and then for the replay speech from the government team, spent 2 minutes 59 seconds, and then for opposition, for the first speaker from the opposition, spent 4 minutes 32 seconds, and then for the second speaker from the opposition team, spent 3 minutes 23 seconds, and then for the third speaker from the opposition team, spent 3 minutes 26 seconds, and then for the replay speech from the opposition team, spent 1 minute 5 seconds. Thank you.
Okay, thanks to the timekeeper. The next sessions, I will tell the conclusion from this debate today. The conclusion from the government team is firmly uphold the motion based on the promoting individual autonomy and equality within a framework that prioritizes protecting vulnerable individuality and advancing gender equality. And the conclusion from the opposition team is giving limitation on age of marriage can prevent opportunities to violate religious ethics such as free sex behavior by adding the age limit. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all our debate today. Thank you for your attention and see you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Kita sama terus dulu.